It's another episode of Making Events Awesome. Have you ever wondered how people can stuff up their speaker selection at an event? Well, it's actually quite easy. Based on the number of events that I've seen, oh my lords and lordy. I have to say, in 20 years of hosting different events, there's been some speakers have just missed the mark, but other speakers have done incredibly well, some surprisingly so. So what we want for our events are speakers who get raved about. We want to be challenged and educated. We want to stick within budget. We want to have the right speakers for the right audience at the right time. Welcome everyone. Warwick Merry, triple certified and international award-winning event host. Today is all about how do we pick the right speakers? Where do they come from? How do we make it happen? And are there any little tips to make it a whole lot easier for ourselves? That's what we're after. Tips, things that'll make it easy. So I've got a few different ideas. You may have some as well. I love to hear from you. If you're joining me from Facebook, please make sure that you put this particular link, you head there first, so that way I can see any chat comments that you may have. So head over to chat.restream.io/FB. If you're watching a replay, just throw hashtag replay or hashtag recording so I can just, make sure I know where you're from, when you're watching, all that sort of stuff. All right, so how do you get a good speaker? How do you select a range of good speakers? Because here's the thing. You will have industry speakers, you'll have professional speakers, you'll have maybe trendy people or celebrities. There's a whole range of different possibilities. So I love the concept of begin with the end in mind, one of Stephen Covey's faves. Well, when I say faves, it's of his top 7, because it's the 7 habits, highly effective people. So begin with the end in mind. So you really want to look at, what are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to get out of this particular event? And so is it motivation? Are we doing a reward? Is this a, job well done here? We're going to have a bit of an event with some fun and exciting stuff. Or do we really want to motivate our team? Maybe even give them a bit of a kick in the ass and say, come on, let's get cracking. You need to understand what the speakers are there for, or what the event is for. And then you need to look at, well, who's in the audience? Who's going to appeal to our audience? Often CEOs might say, well, I want so-and-so as a speaker because they've got an ego, the CEO. Maybe the speaker too. I have met a few speakers with a bit of an ego. But the CEO might say, no, I really want this person, maybe a sporting celebrity, maybe an idol, and because it's not their money, they can say, well, just get them, I want them. There are so many different contributing factors. You also need to know, well, how are we going to measure success? When it comes to the speaker, how do we know that they've been good? How do we know we've got the right speaker? Is it through feedback? Is it through some commentary? Is it through the energy in the room? You really need to look at how you're going to how you measure the success of your particular event. Do you want a celebrity kind of person to attract people? It's a common marketing ploy. Let's get someone with a big name, and that'll get a stack of people in the room and get some really good speakers who just aren't known as well as the secondary speakers on the program. Do you want a comedian, maybe as your MC, to have a comedian? I've got to be honest, as a professional MC, I will put a little status there. Beware of celebrity MCs, be they musos, comedians, whomever. Often they might be good MCs, but they're not good business people. Well, that's a massive generalization. Let me roll that back. Sometimes they may be good at what they do as a comedian, and they don't quite understand events, how they roll, the importance of timing, how we're trying to make everything sort of all happen together. So keep that in mind. You also, when you're selecting your speakers, have to make sure that your audience are represented. So if you have a large number of females in your audience, you need to have a large number of females on stage. It's as simple as that. I still cringe when I remember and I see a photo of a panel talking about getting more women in the workforce, and it was 4 white men. Let's be honest, white men have ruled the stage for long enough. It's time to mix it up. And I say that as a white man most of the time. So make sure there's representation. There's also going to be flavor of the month. Who's the latest and greatest book out there that people, want, or they're this Twitter celebrity or something, are they someone to be considered? Do you want to repeat MC? Often MCs are good to repeat because people go, don't know who the speakers are, but I know this MC. They're fantastic, great energy. No matter what happens, I'll be okay. Same with some speakers. You might have a speaker that you really like, so you get them back. Be aware, often they'll have similar content. So if you want things mixed up, sometimes the content will shift. For example, Bernard Salt, great respect, awesome speaker. He's a demographer, and each time he'll drag different information out of the census, different census comes out. So often he will get repeat gigs and is well worth it. You also need to consider, what's your budget? Don't be locked in by that budget. Often there's room to get money from elsewhere. You know, can you sacrifice some of the catering, the decorations? Can you actually get a sponsor to sponsor the particular person? Too often I'll hear people go, oh, no, we don't have the budget. It's like, yeah, well, get creative. At one of the events I was involved with, we had former Prime Minister John Howard come and speak. And as a way to help, because his fee was significant at the time, and as a way to help fund that, we had a sit-down lunch, because we asked Mr. Howard, would you, be prepared to stay for lunch if we do a private lunch? Yeah, that'd be great. And so we had a lunch with 20 other people, and those 20 people paid a premium, which helped cover the cost of the speaker fee. So there's ways around budget. Don't be restricted by saying, oh, we only have X amount of dollars for all of our speakers, and that's it. And now, on behalf of the MCs of the world, can I ask you to not consider your MC as the last thing? Very often we'll say, here's the speaker budget, what speakers, blah, blah, blah. What do we got left for an MC? MC's on stage the entire time. You want to make sure you've got someone who can carry the event. What I'd suggest to you is that you really want to formalize this process of speaker selection so that you're not starting from scratch each year going, oh, who's the latest and greatest? What is the process you're going to follow? So how do you choose your speakers? There are some of the considerations you want to take into account. Is there anything that I've missed? What have I missed in terms of what you're over? Sometimes you are dictated to and say, get this speaker from a senior person or a person on the board or whomever. So you've got to do that. Picking the right speaker will make all the difference to your event. So you want to make sure you have a decent process and a repeatable process to make sure that your event continues to be awesome. You want to be able to get it right. If you don't have a process, you may end up with a crappy speaker, which will then disappoint your audience, and it's not good for the whole event. But when you do have a good speaker selection process, you're going to have an amazing response. You'll get people booking for next year's event at this year's, and you'll continue to spread good branding about it. A documented speaker selection process really is going to help make your events awesome. If you need any help with getting your speakers selected, reach out. Having done over 20 years of different events, I've seen many, many people speak. And there is a list of people I would, and I know often bureaus have the same thing. They have a DNB, do not book. And so there are some speakers that I would recommend you, depending on your outcome, you might want to stay away from. And there's a whole list of other speakers who are fantastic across all range of budgets. So if you need any help, reach out. And there's plenty of other people out there who will help you with your selection process. But for you and your organization, you really need to have something documented about how do we go about selecting our speakers. Documented process makes events awesome. All right. Hey, thanks for joining me. I'll be back here again next Thursday. If you want to stay in touch with us, we do have the Making Events Awesome Facebook group. Just head to makingeventsawesome.com. Love to have you there. It's great to hear everyone's different voice and perspective. We have PCOs, speakers, suppliers to the industry in there, and we try and have a bit of conversation. So jump on in, join us. All right, thanks for your company today. I'll be back Thursday, 9 a.m., and it'll be on and on for young and old to help Making Events Awesome. See you later.